But I hope you can squeeze it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, it's around 11th.
I think so. Yeah, it's the second week of October. Yeah. So it's far, but yeah, one connection and we're there. But thank you so much, Governor, for. I know that as top leaders, there's only one resource they don't have. That's time. So I'll try to be efficient. I just have 3 topics that I want to briefly discuss with you. One you already touched upon, that's the C40. Not so much the summit in Copenhagen, but the fact that we have agreed to collaborate on a sort of pre-event here in Jakarta, which I think has now been, together with your staff, we have set that to be on the 4th of September.
Yes.
So of course we also hope that you will be able to briefly maybe attend and open that event. The idea is not to cover the whole panoply of issues that will be discussed in Copenhagen pertaining to cities, but specifically zooming in on one topic, also on the request of your staff that I think is very present at the moment here in Jakarta, namely the air quality, and what can be done about that. So we're happy. We'll provide some speakers both from Denmark internationally and your staff, and hopefully have a good full day discussion on some of the remedies that can be taken and have successfully worked elsewhere.
The 4th of September.
Yes.
This is very much very relevant with challenges that you are now facing.
Yeah.
With air quality.
Yeah, well, I think we can all feel it, to be honest. Yeah.
Especially in dry season.
Yeah.
In the wet season.
Yeah. The rain takes care of some of it, or
right.
show somewhere else.
Okay.
But yeah, no, but it's and it's difficult because there's so many sources of the pollution, and it's I think I used to before coming here, or 5 years ago, I lived 4 years in Beijing, so that was at the time when things were really bad there. I still remember vividly the spring of 2013. That was the year I left, where Beijing had the so-called airpocalypse, where it reached I think almost 800 on the AQI scale. It was the WHO scale only goes to 500. There's nothing beyond that. So the Americans thought that on their measuring tool, they thought it crazy bad. That was after hazardous and became crazy bad. But actually, interestingly, I saw news coming out just 2 days ago that Beijing here in the spring has had its best air in 40 years. So after a really concentrated effort in the last 5 years, they've managed to somewhat deal with it. But it's not easy because it relates to so many things, and I think the city of Beijing also faced the problem that I'm sure you're facing, that you can only do so much as a mayor or city governor. A lot of it has to do with things beyond your control. That is industry in the neighboring provinces, or energy, or stuff like that. That's not really part of the city's responsibility. So I guess that's what makes it difficult, but still an important topic. The other thing I briefly wanted to mention was the cooperation we have on cities changing diabetes. You remember we signed the agreement last year, and I think we had an excellent cooperation with the DINKIS, the Jakarta Health Agency, in the period since then, and there has now been developed an actual action plan ready for implementation. Also done some interesting research, I think, has been carried out on the prevalence and characteristics of diabetes in the greater Jakarta area, and also sort of a briefed book presenting some of this, which is ready for launch. But I understand due to various regulatory issues, to really launch the work and get the work started on this action plan that's now been agreed, we technically need an MOU between the Jakarta Health Agency, the company Novo Nordisk, and the Pakini Association and the University of Indonesia, which are the 4 partners. I think it's also more or less, I mean, it's been drafted, but it's still at the Bureau TAPEM, the governance bureau in the city here. So just, I hope that perhaps they could take a look relatively soon, so that we could have that done. I think it's more of a formality, and that would allow us sometime maybe in September to fully launch the action plan, maybe also a platform for you to announce that the city is now really taking action on diabetes. Because I think on all the substance there is a full agreement, so it's more a technicality. The third issue, speed reading through my notes here, is what I briefly mentioned to you, I think a little more than a month ago, in the margins of the C40 event on climate plans, namely the project that we have been working on with the Indonesian Ministry of Education on sort of learning through play. It's a cooperation with Lego, the toy company. The interesting thing with Lego is that it's, as a company, is that it's actually it's privately owned by a foundation, which means that, as you may know, they have been quite profitable for the past 10 years for various reasons, and that means that 20% of their profit goes into a foundation that can then be used for doing more, let's say, pro bono projects of various kinds. And then they have developed this education tool that has been quite successful in other parts of the world, especially in China, where they have trained, I think, almost 20,000 teachers, but also in Vietnam, where they're working with 1,000 schools. And now the Minister of Education was in Denmark a year ago and visited LEGO and also our Ministry of Education to discuss how to promote STEM skills among school children and in general promote sort of creativity and education, but through play. And the minister was quite interested, and then we had a number of follow-up meetings here in Indonesia. And the ministry itself pointed to 2 cities to do pilots, namely Surabaya and Jakarta. Surabaya has already moved forward in the sense that we've had a technical meeting with them, and then a 2-day workshop with around between 50 to 100 maths and science teachers from Surabaya. And so my question is, we would love to do the same with Jakarta. I think in the first place just the technical meeting with some of your expert staff, and then that will then be followed shortly after with a 2-day workshop if there is still interest on behalf of the city to move forward with this. But I think again that leads you to sort of point or ask the Department of Education to appoint some people for this technical meeting. Sure. I have a one-page chart here that we can use if you like. So those were really the 3 small asks from my part. But otherwise, just allow me to also express my gratitude for our cooperation in other areas like energy efficiency and many other things.
Yeah. First of all, on the C40, we'll facilitate. So on the 4th of September, let's proceed on that.
Yeah.
No questions. And I'm still assuming that I will participate in the C40 meeting. Maybe something in Copenhagen.
Yeah, otherwise, we'll see. Yeah, you understand, of course,
the only challenge is whenever I travel abroad, the noise is quite loud within the country.
I noticed, yeah. Interestingly, we have the opposite problem where we had 2 ministers in our new government who's been heavily criticized for not attending 2 meetings abroad last week. Yeah. But I understand the sensitivity sometimes of these things.
But from our point of view, we'll continue doing it. Yeah. I mean, those criticisms will not stop us from doing it.
It's important. Jakarta should be among all the other great cities.
Indeed. I mean, we are the biggest city in the southern hemisphere.
Soon you will be the biggest city in the world.
Soon, we need not to be absent.
No.
Anyway, if I'm not going, it's more of the event requires my presence here. But hopefully that will happen. And then the second part is with regard to the Bureau Tabung.
Yeah.
Let's get it going. Ada di Tabung sini. Ya nanti we'll work it out. Yeah. Nanti kami akan coba satu. We'll work it out so that all the necessary documents is ready.
Yeah.
So that we can proceed.
Start implementing a plan that's already ready.
Yeah.
That's always good. Yeah.
And indeed, I think diabetes is something that we need to be very serious in anticipating. We don't like to see the number seen that trend. So we really need to do something about it.
It's terrible for the patients, but from a government perspective, most importantly, it's very expensive.
Very, very expensive. Our concern is also habits of eating, drinking, sweet from early age. It is an issue in our education. So hopefully this program will try to push so that it covers also on the prevention side, on the promotions of healthy lifestyle. Now, with regard to the legal education program, yes, Jakarta is happy to join. As I mentioned when we met the first time, we'd love to participate. And but Arthur, I'm going to ask him to be in charge.
Okay, excellent. So we should just coordinate, yeah.
So that just coordinate.
Set up the technical meeting and we can take it from there, depending on like junior, yeah.
And if Lego has opened a possibility for us to have like a home of Lego in which people can, like a children's museum, can experiment, can explore, and not as a temporary facility, but it is more of a fixed facility. We would love to explore that possibility. We have Ancol. It is our company.
Yeah.
So the setting could be government with, I don't know, Lego is operating as NGO or as a business in this project, but we're happy to engage in any way. So that if it is B2B, we have Ancol that can be partnered. If it is government, which I think is better, so that it can operate within the education agency, so that we can have like a lab of creativity, the way it operates in the home of Lego.
Yeah.
I haven't been to the Lego headquarters yet. I haven't been there, but I heard from people that came back and how amazed they are.
That's quite good, yeah.
It is quite good. It is quite good. And the idea is, if it's possible, it is not only a workshop, but can we have a Lego facility here? And let's explore it.
I think two quick replies to that. The actual proposal here is the same model as they have applied elsewhere, which is, I mean, over the years, this education arm of Lego, which is a separate entity from the commercial selling toys company. And what they've been focusing on is to develop really a set of tools for schools, so that it will be implemented in a large number of schools. And I think that's what the Ministry of Education is also hoping for, that what they are aiming for is a pilot with 100 schools first in the two cities of Indonesia, and then from there scale it up, so it will really cover the schools. And that comes with all kinds of things. So that's one thing for the schools. But I guess what you really, I mean, what I personally, of course, also would like to see would be like one size fits all Legoland of sorts, or create something like that. And I think actually the size of Jakarta and West Java, that would be a sufficient basis for such a thing. Lego has just reacquired the rights for that. It was actually owned by, I think, a Japanese corporation, where they sort of outsourced and gave them the rights to the Lego, and they repurchased it, so now it belongs to the company again. And I think they're eager to explore places where they can do that in various forms, more on the creativity side or more on the theme park side or whatever. But that's certainly something I think we could look at.
We could explore, and even if it is something in between.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's not so much of a Legoland, not so much of it's simply education tools, schools, but something in between. But the idea is creativity is key.
Exactly.
And anything that can stimulate creativity, would love to host it. So
that's something we can definitely take off with Lego, as a specific project on like a physical place somewhere in Jakarta, on top of the schools. So that's great.
We're happy to host.
Fantastic. Coordinate that. Fantastic. Well, thank you, Governor. I'll be very efficient, so that's always good to.
So it's a pleasure.
Yeah.
And some of the follow-ups can be done immediately.
Yes, excellent. All right, great.
Terima kasih. Thank you. Pak, langsung aja.
Yeah. All right, your card. So yeah. So it's. Excellent, yeah. Yeah. Let's go, yeah.
Mr. Fico has been with all staff.
Yes, I know, yeah.
WhatsApp aja saya.
Oh gitu, nanti saya WhatsApp aja.
Ya,
enggak ada nomor ya?
Pak Fico, iya Pak.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.